Hello, Demi. It is Sagittarian Truth Seeker here, and I am here with your past life reading. So we're going to go in depth into your life and see how it was. Now, sometimes people are completely opposite of the person that they were. And sometimes you have stuff that does carry over. And these cards will tell exactly what carried over from that life till now. And you'll be able to like compare and contrast what's different from then and what's the same, and things that may need to be healed from a past life that you're dealing with this lifetime. Okay, now let's go. These are just the houses. Okay, so we're going to talk about family, love, relationships, how you died possibly, and the lessons and stuff that you had to deal with in a past life. Okay, so let's look at the shadow energy. And these will be all your personalities. So the shadow energy, we have the High Priestess. So this could mean you lived a very spiritual life. Okay. But I really feel like with this, I feel like you lived a secretive life. There were a lot of hidden traits about you that you didn't expose to other people. Okay. You have both the light and a dark side here, which we all do have that. But I'm sensing more of, with the Temperance in reverse, this may be more of your darker side that was showing during this time. Or your shadow self that a lot of people didn't know about that you did have, okay? Because the Temperance in reverse means some imbalance here, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, especially with the spiritual energy that we have right here. So you may have had a lot of secrets, okay? A lot of stuff that nobody could quite figure you out. And this is like hiding emotions as well. Somebody who is hiding their emotions, but also hiding maybe how they truly feel as well. So let's go into it. So you were a woman. I did hear that plain and clear. I was like, because we wanted to find out your gender, and you were a female in your past life. Okay. All right. But the qualities of you stayed stuck emotionally. Like I already said, it looks like you hid a lot of things. So emotionally, you were stuck. And it looks like you always hesitated to leave a situation that caused you grief. You did a lot of contemplating. You did a lot of where I'm not going to move forward, but I'm not going to move backwards. Literally stuck in your emotions, which could be very torturing. Okay, very, very torturing to be stuck and just deciding not to move. But this is like your very important characteristics is the Eight of Cups in reverse. And also you could always return to the same problem and feel like it's going to be fixed or feel like it's going to be healed. Okay, so you might have a repetitive thing of returning back to someone or returning back to something. Okay. And also, yeah, that's what I feel like it is, yeah. Okay, so the environment that you grew up in, quite strict, quite cold. And this would explain, you might have had a very manipulative father as well. Because I'm seeing a man show up here, so you definitely had a father figure in your life. But I'm seeing a lot of back and forthness. You could have had a lot of liars around you too. But what I'm seeing is your family life was so cold that you weren't allowed to show emotions. So you stayed stuck in your emotions. Because you have those certain families to where, it's like you're not allowed to cry. It almost seems as you're not allowed to feel because everybody is so stern and strict and emotionless. Which kept you to be withdrawn, which makes sense when I see the High Priestess here, and when I see the spiritual imbalance that you were dealing with and emotionally, because you didn't have a source to vent to. Okay. So there's a lot of emotional problems. So in this lifetime, you could have like a deep sadness or a deep fear, or even some codependency issues to where you feel the need to need somebody. It feels as though like you may need somebody in your life. When it comes to love and relationships, you may cling on to them for the fear of being alone. You may feel even sadness that is unknown from your past life. Because sometimes we carry these emotions and we're like, where these emotions come from? I haven't quite been through that deep of a situation. Like, where's this sadness? And remember, no matter how many bodies or lives that you live, your soul is still the same soul. And so the soul may carry a lot of things if the emotions haven't been released. So with your spiritual reading, when I was telling you to unbound and get rid of those patterns, it could be all the way from here. There's a sense of fear when it comes to emotions. And this is deep. This is past lives deep, okay? This is the previous life that we're talking about now, the one before this one. Because women are born emotional. We're supposed to be emotional and be able to express ourselves. We have, those type of chemicals that creates that emotional energy. And with you not being able to express that is very damaging to the spirit, mind, and body. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing right now. So, childhood, yeah. So, your parents were divorced or they didn't get along. It looks like you live with your father here. And if this is not even a father, your mother was very, very, like, stern, emotionalist, and a manipulator of the mind. But I feel like this is a father. I feel like you grew up with your father here. But when it comes to your childhood, it wasn't loving at all. Relationships never worked. Mom and dad couldn't get right. And it was because of their attitude. So this is really reflecting why your overall energy is the Eight of Cups in reverse. And you're the High Priestess here. But this could also have to deal with even relationships now. Like, it's crazy, but it can also, those emotions can present itself in the life that you have now. But this looks like it was just turned really upside down. Okay. So next, when it comes to your education, you were artistic, very creative. So that was something that was actually positive in your life, is your education. And I feel like if you were artistic, I think I've said something about that before when it comes to expressing yourself. This was how you could kind of release what you couldn't speak, or what you couldn't vent to somebody or tell somebody or just say. It went through art. School was your getaway. Education was your getaway. Creativity, your artisticness was your getaway from reality. It was actually like more of the highlight in your life. So you went to a pretty decent school and you did pretty well. Okay? So that was really good. Your accomplishments. Is beginning to move mentally. I feel like maybe through your childhood you felt abandoned, but I feel like after school you was able to move more. You was able to think more. You were first very withdrawn, especially mentally and emotionally, and you were able to kind of rise to the occasion. You weren't as stagnant as you were before. I feel like you were able to seek your independence once you broke away from your family. Once you were able to get out that household, things moved a little bit better for you. So I feel like school was your outlet, and school really helped you to release the baggage from your household, from where you grew up in, from your environment, because your environment was very chaotic, very mind-boggling too, and very what is the word I'm looking for? Masculine. So you may have been raised by a man, or just very masculine energy, where it was just like almost like a law that you couldn't feel. You know, it's one of those environments that I'm getting. It's just so cold and lonely. And I feel like you came out of that once you found your own way. You began to find your own way. Okay. So you could have been very silent as well, because this is somebody, the Eight of Cups energy stuck. It's kind of like a silent energy where you don't say anything. You may even started to speak about or speak up or express yourself. Okay. So, and speak up about the childhood that you went through. Being vocal, be very vocal about it. Okay. So next we're going to see the occupation that you held for the longest. Okay, so this has to do with, I feel like you were a teacher. But you didn't hold it that long, though. Because this is about beliefs. I feel like you began to protest about kind of how you feel, and you felt like maybe teaching. But the thing is, you went against what you went to school for. What you went to school for and your occupation, two totally different things. Very artistic here. But then you decided to maybe be a teacher. But that wasn't where your heart was. But you held it for a long time. So it could have been the more stable job for you. Because, you know, when you are, you know, artists, you know, drawers, painters, you know, poets, that's not the easiest, or book writers. Those are the more challenging jobs. It's like, or the most challenging careers. Because, I mean, you could write a book, but it could take forever to get published. Or you can draw something, it takes forever for somebody to buy it. You know, even though artistic careers are the most expressive, they're kind of hard to find a job sometimes. So I feel like you went and did something else besides what your heart was calling you to do. And this is why we have it in reverse here. So it looks like you were a teacher of some sort. You maybe just decided to be a teacher. Okay. But it's not what you wanted to do, though. But you started to speak on whatever it is that you believe. I feel like that was your kind of your gateway out of what you have been going through. But I just felt like the way that you wanted to express yourself is not the way that the route that you went. And I feel like it has to deal with stability. Being an artist, you're not guaranteed a job. But being a teacher, yeah. You know? So I feel like you went with what was safe. And what made money. And what could keep you stable. Okay? So So relationship wise, communication problems, passion, being able to express yourself was conflict when it came to relationships. Energies just couldn't get started. There was a stuckness. And it has to deal with your passion versus what you went for. And I feel like this is why it's probably very important this time around for you to go with your life's path. Because it looks like here you didn't go with your life's path, and that blocked you from being able to communicate with people easily or express yourself. Okay. And so, you know, back to family life. We're back to family life. It was the Nine of Swords. Like being in your head, mentally drained, exhausted. This was a very crucial life. This was a very, you know, this was a harder life. I feel like this life would be a lot easier for you. But I feel like you have a lot of fear base. You may even fear what school or what education you're going to go towards. And if you're going to find a job or a career, if you're going to be able to excel, there may be a fear here. There may be a fear actually in this lifetime is where am I going to go? Where's my energy going to shift to? Am I going to be successful? That may be a fear now. Because of the past here. Okay? So the death here, this looks rather emotional. But I feel like your death wasn't anything tragic. But I feel like what it's saying is you didn't get to have the emotions. You didn't get to express yourself. You didn't get to experience the love that you wanted to experience. So this could mean that this time around you're going to experience things that you didn't get to experience in your past. Most definitely here. Okay, so let's look at some of the lessons and some of the things that you may have carried on here. And some of your personality traits. Okay. The lesson you learned was to be bolder. You learned some confidence. That was that Four of Swords energy here. When I said you rose to the occasion, like I said, you were more able to speak for yourself. So that part of you kind of could come out. That was one of the lessons that I feel like even through school, it kind of helped you to be able to be more vocal. But I felt like your past really still controlled you. Even though you were more vocal because you got out of that environment. But at the same time, there were just thoughts that couldn't necessarily, you feel like they couldn't go away. And I feel like I talked about that in your spiritual reading too. Okay. So another lesson was stability here. And like I said with this, like even if you went through financial problems or something like that in the past, you learned how to take care of yourself. But with the Knight of Pentacles, this is about the financial aspect. So it may not necessarily be what you love to do, but it's what paid the bills. And so in your past, you knew how to balance and maintain money. You knew how to take care of priorities. So that's the thing that I was talking about in your spiritual reading. Make sure that you put the right priorities first in order to stay balanced and maintain that balance here. Okay. So how the past life can help you now is be decisive, be vocal, and be intellectual. Okay. And another one is to be happy. Be happy. 9 of Cups. Be happy. Because you didn't experience the happiness here. The only cup I have is the 8 of Cups, where you're emotionally stuck. So here, you're going to go from the 8 of Cups to the 9 of Cups upright, which is being content, happy, wishes fulfilled, and everything going your way. Or most things, of course, going your way. Are you going towards your happiness as well? Okay, now let's look at some of the personality traits here. We have Virgin here. So maintaining symbolic purity, heart and spirit. So even though you may have went through these things, you still kept a lightheartedness about you. So like I'm saying, with the 2 of the High Priestess here, you could have masked how you really felt and was very good at it. Because the High Priestess is somebody who doesn't show emotions. That's why it has no face. Like, this is an emotionless person. So you could have even not showed how you really felt. Okay? Yeah. So next, you were a healer. Okay? You were a healer. And you could have been a spiritual teacher. Okay? But as you were teaching, you were also learning. But it still wasn't necessarily what you wanted to do. But you were able to be vocal as a teacher. You were able to speak, you know. You were able to talk. It felt like you couldn't do that in your own household. So a household that you grew up in. So like now, you could, speak. So next we have Judge, and it was in reverse. This is the shadow side, but this is, and I feel like this has to do with this person here. I feel like this is I feel like really this is a father figure. But this person, like I told you, your household, your environment, it was destructive criticism, and abuse of authority. And that really describes the King of Swords in reverse. So that was the energy that you had shadowing you during your lifetime. Next we have, we have Engineer, and this is also in reverse. And this has to do with covering or masking your emotions. Reliance on mechanic solutions without regards for emotional consequences. So this is just doing things without putting your heart in it. Okay, so this is like a head over heart situation. And that looks like, but I've told you, that's what you've done. Like, you've masked your emotions through this whole lifetime that we're talking about right now. So it was like you were a robot. Like, operated almost if you were a robot here. Okay, so the next one is Beggar here, but this is a positive light one, and it confronts empowers at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humanity, compassion, and self-esteem here. So I feel like you taught that to other people, but the thing about it is, why I really feel like this is in reverse, because what you were teaching, you were not feeding into your own life. Because you know how even with me, I may give spiritual guidance, but it's like the spiritual guidance that I'm giving, I need to give that to myself. And it looks like when you were teaching or spreading knowledge, you weren't putting it into your own life. Because it's like the information that we dish out, we need to take in. Okay, so that's what that looks like. So let's see what transferred on. Okay, so one thing we have is we meet again. So someone from your past life is about to resurface in your life. Okay, take notice, there's a lesson to be learned from this person. Okay, so it could be this person. It could be, and it doesn't have to be your father now at all. It's like a karmic energy. you will meet this person again, and this person will probably be a part of your soul tribe. Because and you may have differences with this person. They may even feel very familiar to you. But that's how karmic energy is. Sometimes a father could come back as a friend. They could come back as a lover. Okay, but this person is going to come back and probably right some wrongs. So this lifetime, they'll be helping you. And they will be releasing the karmic energy that they had given you in the past life. Okay? And next we have be present. So your soul has struggled to stay present in your current lifetime. Allow yourself to remember the past while being more intentional about living in the present life. Okay? So this is where I was saying, even in your spiritual reading, that you make sure that you mother your own self, because there's a lot of distractions around you, and it's time that you focus on you and the current life that you live now. Okay, so emotional baggage from this previous life may be kind of hindering you, but that's why it's time to release any blocks here, okay, that it's telling you about. All right, so thank you for your time, your purchase, and your patience. Have a blessed one.